Uh, yeah, I mean, my bad point is kind of just the first worrying sign for this new Vitality roster. And I feel like people were, well, I'll just say, like, when we were talking about this topic in Blast, I feel like a lot of people, I mean, Pimp, who I'm working the desk with, oftentimes was like, he sees this as an upgrade. Like, the ropz move for Spinx is an upgrade. But, I mean, if we want to dive into the nuance of it a little bit more, I feel like the CT side of ropz is better. He seems to be a better locker room presence for the team. But I was just going to say my hesitation from the get-go, like as soon as the move was announced, is that I think ropz on T side is a very strange player. Like he's not someone that you're going to slot into a system and immediately be able to play around him. I know people kind of say that, like he's like such a great teammate and everything like that, but come on, like how many times do you see ropz per series even where he's just kind of on the other side of the map doing God knows what and just pretty much ends up having to save, and it's more than the average lurker. Okay, that's just what I'm gonna say. And Spinx, on the other hand, was a guy that, if anything, maybe he pushed a little bit too much, but at least he would try to get active a little bit more in these rounds. He would try to find a timing. He would try to split the defense if he can recognize that something bad is happening on the map. But I feel like, and I would love for ropz to obviously comment on this eventually so we could understand it, but I would love for him to explain it because like when I watch his POV and stuff like that, I almost feel like he's radar agnostic at times. Like he literally doesn't look at what's going on with his teammates on the other side of the map, and he's still just like in this like little micro duel, just like trying to jiggle the ramp player out for like 45 seconds, and
Right.
it's like ropz, like your teammates are already down lower. Like your teammates are already actually in B, like trying to open control door and decon door at this point. So like you're not even like pressuring anybody because no one's there. Like there's actually nobody that you're even like jiggle peeking with. You just think that he's there. And it's kind of like Spinx would just go. Spinx would be like, oh, okay, you guys are in lower. Yeah, it's my time to go down ramp at this point. And that's kind of what's happening. Like with him on Vitality right now, there's two things that I've noticed. One is that he's not actually getting every lurk spot that he had in the past. Like for example, on Mirage, Mezzi is still lurking A, whereas ropz kind of did that before for FaZe. And so ropz was part of a space taking group of people, which he's like never done. Like he's never been part of a space taking crew. I don't even know, maybe for at least 5 years. At least 5 years, I've never seen him do
Maybe
this
in
kind of
really
thing
old
before.
school mouse or something. Who knows, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, before they did like, oh, we're roster or like we're doing role swaps with Chris J and
Yes.
Frozen and Woxic and stuff like that. And I think then maybe he swapped up some of that stuff right there. But watching him space take with Vitality was just the most awkward thing ever, also. Like, it's clear he just doesn't have the instincts to play around people when he's trying to move as a pack of players. So, and if you watch, like, he starts Mirage in mid control takes 0 and 7. Like, he does not know when he's slotted in, like, the boosted window or like trying to get up con, like how many angles he needs to care about, because the last thing ropz would always try to do is be in these middle parts of the map. Like he's so famous for just, if he isolates an angle, he's so good at just making sure that's the one angle he needs to worry about. But when he's in a place like Mirage, like I mean, ropz is just not really the guy that's like, he's good at being in the valley of middle of Mirage and just like pivoting, like, are they going to swing me cat? Are they going to swing me con? Do I have to worry about a window smoke being broken open from a nade or anything like that? Like, and so, yeah, he just looked like a fish out of water completely. And that's the one concern. Like, I think this Vitality team is still, over the course of the season, going to prove themselves to be elite. But I'm just saying, this is the one orange flag that I'm raising right now, that's exactly what I was saying when the roster move was happening, that you need to watch out about these T sides, because ropz is a guy that just like, he wants to do his own thing on the map. And if anything, it's like, it's praise to Kerrigan for making that work so well, because at time when it wasn't working, remember at the end of Mouse when ropz would just like be in blame F mode and just everybody's dead on the map and he's just like still outside B tunnels on Dust 2. It's like, what's even happening here? Like, is this guy even trying to win a round for them? So either way, I think the bad parts of ropz are kind of rearing their ugly heads right now. But he said in a quote, and I'm going to quote him, and that's kind of why I'm going to this point even a little bit, with Play GG, he said, fixing the T sides is going to be very, very easy. And then they go on in, that was before they even played the land portion of this and lost to Eternal Fire. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very, very easy unless he actually finds a new way to play the offense.
By the way, Gomez, you don't have to do the specific thing he picked as his point. You can just basically pick whatever you like from that to buff it. You pick what you want to reply to.
Yeah, no, I find it like hard for Vitality to actually fail, like to a huge extent. They just have such insane firepower. And I mean, I guess if you look at HLTV's rankings, like ropz for Spinx, isn't really that much of a difference in raw firepower. So for me, it's just sort of like ticking off what is wrong or what is stopping this team from winning 10 tournaments in a row. Like it's definitely not firepower. Is it a locker room thing? Is it a coaching thing? And I think this move may just tick off not the firepower. Like, is it the locker room? Is it the coach? But if this doesn't work, I don't know what you need to change to make it work. They just seem to have all the pieces. They have all the roles. Everything seems to be there for the taking, but they just can't string multiple events together in a scene that's not that strong at the moment. Besides Spirit and Na'Vi, like you'd think those three should just win everything, but they have these results where they don't. So I think it's early to know if this is going to be better or worse, but it's definitely not a firepower thing. And let's just see, like, was it a locker room thing with Spinx, and is that going to get solved with ropz or not?
Yeah, I will say this is actually the team where when they made this move, actually, I thought this will be the team that will dominate this year. Now, I'm not going to go crazy over one LAN BO3. And even then, by the way, this is it. If you don't realise, guys, that's not even actually an upset team anymore. That's a dark horse, Eternal Fire. Like, that's mad skill in that squad at this point in time. Look, whether it'll work, it worked in that game, who knows? But that team absolutely, if they throw a haymaker, could knock you the fuck out, even if you're a very good team. Like, there's a lot of other squads I could see losing to them. So the problem I have with Vitality is, obviously, in that series, again, the other reason I can't hate on them as a squad is no one knew fucking Zemo would have that first map. If you don't know, guys, Mirage is basically his playground. He's probably the best player ever around the fucking ticket booth, isn't he? Like, he's unbelievable on that map when he cooks. So I don't understand in general what there was going on in that series. He took way too long to warm up himself. So if Zemo's not going to be there for the series, a lot of that firepower isn't there. And map one was just total shit. So my issue is with this squad is, this is why actually, if you notice, Maui's not saying, he didn't say it was a red flag. He said it was an orange flag. That's actually a fair assessment, because I agree. In theory, ropz for Spinx could be an upgrade even. Like I even said before, for a lurker, Spinx's actual biggest failing for me is he wasn't a super dope clutch player. ropz is an unbelievable clutch player. The point is, obviously, if you can get him into that position in the round, and then especially when he's the last one alive with the info, and then he can play himself, so he's the only one alive, he's fucking unbelievable. I don't think there's anyone better in Counter-Strike, in my opinion, at navigating a 1vx. But the issue I will say is this, there's two parts here. One, ropz always looked at his actual best functionally, not rating-wise, with Karrigan, right? Here's my issue. When I've seen him play on his own in Mouse with other people as his IGL, he didn't look at half as good. So I think the problem is, I don't actually think in FaZe he was some secondary caller with all his info like a lot of lurkers would be. I think Karrigan just trusted him and thought, I set the round up, we do the rest, and at the end we give you the info, and then basically it's your office now, mate. You go to work. And actually at times he was amazing. Obviously even in 2023 he was fantastic. The problem you have is this. I think this is one angle where Vitality didn't think about the profile of their team. When they brought Spinx in, are you ready? Spinx was a mega lurker who was super passive, and then he used to play for all his own kills and his own shoot people in the back and then win the round at the end in Ents, because in Ents they were such a bad team as an org compared to him. He was the guaranteed fragger. Listen, if you have someone in football who scores 2 goals every game, you're not running back enough on defense. If you're like a fucking bottom of the Premier League, you're just going to take the 2 goals and go, keep doing what you're doing, mate, we'll figure out the rest, because that's fucking gold to have that. So Spinx came to Vitality and very quickly learned, sadly everyone watching him, you don't watch the fucking games, you look at scoreboards. Because if you keep telling me Spinx is mega passive on T-side, how many years, that's not even CS2, you fucking idiots. How many years old is that take? That's not even true. Actually, his T-side, Maui himself, who's been a critic, has praised his T-side many times in CS2. He did play more up-tempo, and because he has really good mechanics and likes to take duels, it's quite effective, actually. It's one of the reasons why that team on T-side could run over a lot of squads. It was actually CT side that was always bizarre for Vitality. No one really understood, if the roles mixed up. So this is why I'm just going to say this. I don't think that, in the long run, this is a downgrade. I think it can be an upgrade. I think in the short term it might be, because they've not realised what they had in the old classic thing. And I'll just say this right now. There are 2 people I'm going to put a lot of the pressure on for whether this move works. And it ain't fucking Zemo and it isn't ropz. It is Xtaz. Bro, how are you even still there? For real. What are you doing behind? Do you just have voodoo powers or something? You just did what I think is one of the most underwhelming coaching jobs ever last year. You still have a job somehow. I don't get it personally. And then secondly, Apex, who's actually someone I consider like a friend. I've always been on good terms with him. I've always listened to his side. I'm just going to say this. In the last teams, when you were winning, and especially when some other people, certain diva players weren't performing, I was okay with you sometimes looking like you took a little bit of resources or called around yourself and took a nice spot. If it doesn't work with ropz, your job before he is fired or you're fired is to give up everything in your role to make it work. Because as Gomez says, mate, you got the firepower. So if you have Ziwu and Flames and fucking ropz, I don't care if you get 0 frags. Play the right roles, play the facilitative aspect, set them players up, and then you know what? If they then fail, I won't blame you, mate. I'll be on these shows saying you were the one setting them up, and they were the one who couldn't do anything when they had the ball, when they had the resources. So I think Vitality on paper should be the number 1 team in 2025. I think, look, my heart wants it to be FaZe, but I have to actually see them fucking do it first. I think Vitality on paper, you've got Ziwu at the end of the day, by the way, it gets you to every playoffs ever. Now you've got an amazing closer. I think you're prime. Also, at least apparently, there isn't any big egos causing friction in the team. ropz is not going to do that, by the way. There's a lot of actual quiet players who just do the fucking job. So I could absolutely, the joke is it's only Apex is spicy left now, guys. So I could actually see this being a very good team. It just was a bit of a bad start. And we on that one. I think it's a good bad point, though, certainly. They looked fucking rough as hell. Also, by the way, I just memed on it on Twitter. It just doesn't come off very well, ropz, when you do that whole thing of like, oh my God, have you seen Ziwu and scripts? Can I see that? Could I see that, please? You know what? Do you know what, ropz? I don't have to tell stories about Simple and Scrims. I'll just tell you about what he did in like fucking majors and shit, bro. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels. As well, it became about Ziwu and fucking Simply, and it was about ropz.
I know it has to.
Listen, this
anything
show,
even tangentially rated.
This show is just our biases as magnets pulling every topic towards it. Like, that's just how it works. We're Magneto. It's all good. Right. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.